wrong on this question, So, and that's why we needed a national network on Cuba and a Brigada Venceremos. So give us, from the lens of the national network, why this was important, why you participated in this conversation, and the points of action that are important right now in terms of Cuban solidarity from us here in the States.
Thank you. Thanks for that wonderful question. Also, so happy to be on the call with my comrades. Hey, Chris. Chris and I actually met through the Venceremos Brigade, although I will say his reputation preceded him, his activism. So I'm one of 5 elected co-chairs of the National Network on Cuba. I'm actually the most recently elected one. I came in last fall at the fall annual meeting. But the National Network on Cuba is a coalition of US-based social justice organizations engaged in work in opposition to the US government's genocidal war against the Cuban Revolution. We know that they have been attacking Cuba economically with the illegal unilateral US blockade. We know that they have been attacking Cuba militarily with the ongoing military occupation of Guantanamo, where they are running a straight up concentration camp that is now housing Haitian migrants, in addition to Arab men from all over the world who have been kidnapped to be tortured there. We know that they are waging a propaganda war on Cuba. Right now, like the primary tactic in that propaganda war is the listing of Cuba on the State Department's list of state sponsors of terrorism, which is absolutely absurd. We are through the Henry Reed Medical Brigades that Cuba does not send terrorists around the world. Cuba does not send drones or bombs around the world. Cuba sends doctors and support and solidarity. And meanwhile, it's the US that has the long track record of funding and backing far right-wing forces to attempt to destabilize Cuba and to target civilians inside of Cuba. So Cuba is far from a sponsor of terrorism, but has been designated as such by the extremely cynical US government, and the consequence of their listing on that SSOT, that state sponsors of terrorism list, is essentially further cutting them off from the global financial system, from banking, from access to loans, from access to cash, which also drastically impacts the Cuban government's ability to purchase and import the goods they need to meet the basic needs of their people. And so that's why we hear about long lines for gas and food, shortages, lack in Cuba. It's not any failure of the government or of socialist policy. It is in fact a deliberate attack intentionally targeting civilians that's been carried out by the US government for decades at this point. And so understanding all of that context, the NNOC exists obviously to oppose that, but also because we have to recognize the Cuban Revolution as a vanguard in the global struggle against imperialism. Cuba exists 100 miles off the southeast coast of the United States. They have been living in defiance of consistent US imperialist attacks, been able to survive those attacks because of the socialist organization of their revolution and their society. It is an extremely important example for those of us fighting for justice in the belly of the beast to learn from. And it's literally right there for us to travel to and see for ourselves, to learn from, and to take those lessons back here so that we can build movements for social justice strong enough in the United States to contest for power. And I would say fundamentally, like that is our work at this point in history. It is only an act of Congress that can officially bring an end to the US blockade on Cuba. But we also know that these elected officials, these Congress peoples, these Democrat and Republican parties do not work for us. They work for the ruling class. And so quite frankly, we are going to need to build a mass, organized, militant, and disciplined anti-imperialist movement that is strong enough to contest for power so that these people know if they do not end this blockade, if they do not improve our conditions, we can actually exert consequences upon them. I'm just gonna be straight up. I come from a revolutionary Pan-Africanist political background, and so I'm not interested in policy
catch your breath. Catch your breath.
Incremental change. I'm interested in an total overthrow of the capitalist system.
I want to lift up what you're saying. Catch your breath.
So would it be helpful to talk about ongoing